What is up, y'all? I hope that you guys are doing so well this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are joining us around the world. My name is Idara Ekpo. I am back again as your host for today's Adobe Live. And today we are joined by fine art photographer Bella Kotak, as she's going to go ahead and take us through her process of composing editorial fantasy pieces in Adobe Photoshop. Bella, girl, how are you feeling today?
Hello, I'm feeling good. Feeling a little bit nervous, but very, very excited to be here.
Oh, yes, we're very excited to have you. I really am so I told you this already, but as soon as I knew you would be you'd be the guest for today, I went straight to your Instagram, and when I tell you my mouth dropped, like my jaw was on the floor.
You are so nice. By the way, that is such a compliment though, coming from you, because I went straight to yours and I was like, this girl. Like, yeah, I love your photography as well.
Thank you.
You understand color.
Yes. Oh my, and that's what I'm so excited about. Color. I'm so excited to see how you have a concept, how you bring it to life. So we have so much in store today. Before we get started, make sure y'all let us know where you are joining us from in the chat. Where around the world. I am joining from Phoenix, Arizona. Bella, where are you joining us from?
I am joining from Oxford, England.
I want to go to England so bad.
I think it's opposite to Phoenix, Arizona right now. Like It is, yeah. It's a little bit cool today, a bit dismal, a bit gray, but very green.
Yeah, here it is very hot, very sunny, very dry.
The opposite.
So very much so the opposite. But yes, let us know where y'all are joining from. I see Jolo is joining from the Philippines. So welcome, Jolo. I'm seeing someone, General said, from a certain point of view. Welcome, General. So let us know where y'all are joining from. So Susan is joining from Newcastle, England. And Yay. So that is really cool there. So welcome. Ooh, I see Tucson, Arizona. Usually I never see anybody else from Arizona. So that's really cool. Germany, the UK. So welcome everybody. If you are joining us today, and especially if you're over on YouTube land, I need you to make your way over to Behance, b.net/Adobe Live. That way you can join the conversation. Let us know where you're calling in from. And then also, if you have questions throughout this live, the chat is your best friend, okay? It is your direct guide to Bella to ask her any questions that you have about her work as we go through the session today.
Ask me all the questions.
All the questions. But before we go ahead and get started, I want to remind y'all to start your day off with the creative encore of the Photoshop Creative Challenges hosted by Sam Peterson every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. You want to make sure that you tune in and challenge yourself with a new prompt each day. And if you missed the Adobe font stream, don't worry. You can always check out the replay on YouTube or Behance. So I love that because if you miss anything, there's always a recording. So you can come back to YouTube, Behance, catch it. Same thing with this session today. If you have a friend that wasn't able to join, feel free to send it to them later on so they can catch up and enjoy the replay. So now that we've done that, Bella, go ahead and tell us about yourself, who you are, your art, and walk us through your website, Instagram, and whatever else you want to show us.
Okay, so I have my website up here. Hi, everyone. I'm Bella Kotak. I am a fine art and I'd say fine art fashion photographer based both here in the UK and also in the US. I do both. So this is my website. I have a video that shows like a behind the scenes of like how I create right off the offset. And I would sort of describe my work as very like feminine, empowering, beautiful, like fairy tale, magical, spring. Like in my sort of land, it's like a forever spring because that's my favorite season, spring, summer. And yeah, it's pretty much just about celebrating nature, the seasons, women and womanhood and girlhood as well. Because when I started photography, I was a teenage, sort of like at the in my early 20s, and I'm sort of like slipping into like womanhood, and that's where the pieces are going. Yeah, if you want to see behind the scenes and follow me online, the best place would actually be Instagram. So jump on over to that. And yeah, please give me a follow and a hello as well, so that I know where you are, finding me from, because that's always really fun.
Like, I don't know if you see, but my mouth has been like this whole time. You are incredibly talented. Like, I cannot say how excited about the chat, how excited I am for this session. And the chat is already talking about how stunning your work is. Someone said, Bella does great work. Impressive, most impressive. Your work is amazing, Bella. So I think you already have captured the heart of everybody here at Adobe Live. So I
Thank
think
you. Thank you so much.
No, of course. That piece right there, the one to the far left, of her. How do you come up with a lot of these concepts?
You actually laugh because so this piece and the one in the middle, she's wearing this beautiful gown that I put together from like a curtain that was in the storage room of that studio.
Wow.
It was literally like in the studio in the storage room, and I found like this gold fabric, and he was like, oh yeah, that was like a curtain from people who were here before us. So yeah, a lot of planning goes into it. You just whip it out, stick a belt on, find a headpiece, and yeah, we're good to go.
Hey, perfect. I had a little malfunction right there. Let me fix myself real quickly.
You're good. You're good.
All right, I should be good to go. I am so sorry. My little microphone decided to disconnect itself, but we are good to go. So Bella, what are we going to be working on for today?
Right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we are going to be working on some images that I captured earlier this year when I had the opportunity to go to Namibia with a bunch of friends. So the friend I'm working on today is my friend Brandy, and we're going to work on a couple of images. I have more images like in the folder in case we have time, because better to have more than less.
Yes.
But we're gonna work on this image, and we're gonna like expand it. We're not actually working on this image. This is just a starter image. We're gonna be working on this one.
Got it. And do you do all of your work in Photoshop?
Yes and no. Okay. So I process my images in like Capture One, but also Adobe Raw, like depends what I feel at the time. And then yes, because everything from composition, compositing the picture, cropping to the composition that I want, color toning, the whole thing is in Photoshop.
Oh, wow.
I just have a lot more control, and the layers really give me that control. So I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I didn't learn about Photoshop maybe until a couple of years into my journey. I love me Lightroom. Don't get me wrong, Lightroom is my girl, but Photoshop, she is just, there's just something a little different there. And like you said, just the amount of control you have, and being able to organize your layers. We talk a lot about, every time I'm on live, I talk about layers all the time, because it's just really good to be able to separate and focus on one thing at a time and just build upon something. So yeah, I am really, really excited. So before we get started, I'm interested in the backstory. So how did this even come about, as far as picking the location, your model, her hair and everything kind of leading up to this moment?
Okay, so whenever I travel, I always bring a bunch of things with me. So there's not a lot of room in my suitcase, because literally like a third of my suitcase is just props. So in this case, I brought fabrics, I bought a bunch of hoops, because we're in Africa and I wanted to sort of shoot with a lot of people while I was there. And then I always have opulent things with me from designers that I work with. So for example, the headpiece that she's wearing is from a designer based in Boston, and her name is Lori Sun. Oh, wow. And she's super talented and really kind to just collaborate with me on a bunch of projects. Brandy is a photographer. So the girl that our subject today is our photographer, and she actually had the wig. So I like to bring wigs as well, but I had a pink wig and she had a white wig, and it worked with this whole setup.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about this shoot was it wasn't even actually meant to happen. I was styling Brandy for the shoot that I had the next day. So like I told you, I like to play with fabric. So I was like, oh, Brandy, can you be my model while I just figure out tomorrow's outfit?
Mhm.
So I like threw it on her and we were working it, and it actually looked so good.
Oh.
And I was like, girl, should we just like go out and shoot?
Should we just go shoot? Like
That's literally it. So where we were staying, like right in front was this location. So we took like 10 steps and we did a whole photo shoot.
Oh, wow. Oh my
And
goodness.
then as to how this was created, I actually have a little behind the scenes. So if I like open this, yeah. So
oh, wow.
yeah, so that's pretty much how this came about, like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, this will actually segue into what we're going to be doing first. So as you can see over here, I'm shooting around the model. So I'll just play that again. So often what I do is when I take the photo that I really like or an angle that I really like, I always shoot the scene, the frames around her. So yeah, I was just like working around her and shot like all the frames that I thought I needed around her. It turns out when I was actually editing this photo, I didn't have enough frames.
Oh, wow.
But we were fighting the sunset and I was like, that'll do. And I moved on.
Sometimes you just gotta just get what you can.
Yeah, exactly. But that's pretty much how this was created. So I didn't have a ladder, just on another rock. And I was using a Canon R5.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, so then this was the image that we are going to work on, but then we're going to expand this image. And do you want to see what we're sort of working towards? So shall we like surprise people along the way?
I don't know. Do y'all want to be surprised or do you want to know? I'm kind of conflicted. Oh.
Okay, we can ask people in the chat.
Yes, let's ask people in the chat that question.
You chat people, you have about 2 or 3 minutes to like let us know if you want to see what we're working towards, or if you want to be surprised on the journey.
At the end. Oh, Jolo said surprise. So first vote has been casted.
Okay.
Someone said they like to see everything. Okay, one more vote, and that's gonna have to determine it. Surprise, sneak peek. Ah, dang. Let's see it. Oh my goodness, Belle, you're gonna have to decide.
Oh my God. Actually, here we go. People say surprise. We've got a few surprises.
Okay, surprise. Let's do surprise. It seems like it seems to be a bit consistent. And if not,
I mean, they've still got time. So we're going to let people tune in. Okay, so now we're going to jump into some education.
Yes.
Right. So one of the things like I told you, I take frames around the model as she's laying over there. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, how do I expand and why do I expand? Why do I expand the composition? Like, why don't I just use like a bigger lens? When I like the wider lens.
Yeah,
like,
wider lens.
I mean, to be honest, it's a fair question. And they're not wrong. I could have easily shot the damn thing with the 24-70, but here I am with the 15 millimeter and making my work like 20 times harder. So if you're also watching and you do this too, please like share so that I don't feel like the crazy one. But the reason why, yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, but what it really shows is that you can utilize whatever you have on hand, what you have access to, right? So
yeah,
if you have a 24-70, great, but if you don't, that 50 is gonna work too. You just might have to work a little harder, but that's okay.
Actually, Idara, you're so right, because I think this explains exactly why I do this. So when I first started taking the pictures, I didn't have any money because I was also like a student at the time. And doing architecture, so there's no money. So I had I think a 450D and a 15 millimeter 1.4 because I think they're like $100 or something.
Yeah,
or like $150 or something. Yeah. And that's it. I didn't have any other lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 50 became like my main lens that I like got to understand inside out. Yeah. So I've played with the 24-70 and I've played with the 35, but I always come back to the 50. And for this photo shoot, I actually used my husband's camera and setup, and he had the 51.2. I mean, it's a 51.2. So I was like, where are we going to make it work? And I really, really like the way that the 50 shoots the subject and then has that soft blurriness.
Yes,
as it like, as the scene falls away. There's just such a gentle softness to it that I'm just very attracted to.
I love how you said that as the scene, like how the scene falls away. It just made it sound so majestic and so like beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So really what I always do is whenever it comes to expanding the frame, most of the time, and I would literally probably say 99% of the time, I expand it manually.
Okay.
So, because I'm taking the shots and then I can pick and choose what I want. And often when I'm doing that, and as you're going to see as we go into this workflow, I will use transform to make the pictures bigger or smaller to suit where I need it to go, warp things, and etc. A quicker way for some of you who are more like who want a faster workflow is to use stuff in Photoshop that actually helps you automate that process. So we're going to explore that here with this particular image.
Okay, perfect. I'm excited. And if y'all have questions, make sure you drop them in the chat because I will make sure I look out for them so we can ask Bella while we're working through this project.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I always do whenever I start any sort of editing is to duplicate the layer. I never touch the background layer. We don't touch this.
We don't.
We don't touch this. So yeah, I duplicate it. And then because I'm expanding, I'm just going to go ahead and just open up this image and like using the crop tool, just make it nice and big. So we have like something to play with here. Might even go a bit bigger. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and grab this, sort of the next frame over from a different picture. So I'm just going to drag it over and put it here. Now, I sort of practiced it earlier today, but the reality is we're going to find out how good this works together. So let's pray.
Yes, it'll be fine. It'll work out. It has to. It has no choice but to work out.
I know. We're going to find out together. Right. So if it was me, I would literally just throw this underneath, put this down here, move things around, turn that around, figure it out. I find that this for me just works out so much quicker. And then I would just go ahead and use a layer mask. But because that I want to show you something else, I want to show you Photomerge. I'm going to show you something else, which I don't know if people know this or not, and many people probably do, but it's worth to know if you don't know.
Yeah.
Worth to share just in case somebody
I'm
watching
sure I don't know, so my ears are open.
Okay, yay. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the layers that I want to merge. So in this case, it's the main body and the legs. So those layers are selected. Then I'm going to go over here to edit and go down here to auto align layers. So there's a couple of options here. As you can see, there's auto, perspective, and so on. So I did auto earlier, and I'm going to do it now just so I can show you what it looks like. So let's see how it looks like this time. But when I did it earlier, it looked a bit. Okay. Actually, auto align wasn't too bad. Yeah, and we're going to just open up a solid layer here at the back so that there we go. So I can move these freely. Okay, so auto align actually wasn't too bad. And if I go ahead and turn this off and on, I can see that. If I drag the legs underneath the main body, we can see how it worked. And actually, no, it really wasn't too bad at all. Yeah, so that's a good one. Another one that I wanted to show you was a perspective. And actually, it's worth sort of doing these a couple of times to figure it out, just because, what's happening? Yeah, just because you might actually like the other one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in my case, I actually figured out that I liked perspective more the last time I did this. So we're going to do this again. So we're going to go here to edit, auto align, and perspective, and hit OK.
Okay, what are we going to get? What are we going to get?
Yeah, this is
Oh, wow, that is nice.
Yeah, I think what perspective did was it worked on the other frame as well. And then you can kind of twist them however you want. So I'm just going to do the same. Just turn this off and move these over. Actually, no, you know what? In this case, I think I did like the auto align. Right? I think we can agree that one did work better.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, the other one, because she looks like a bit squashed.
Just a little bit.
I don't know how she didn't look squashed earlier. But that's usually how, if I was working really quickly, I would just go right here to edit, select the layers I want to join, and go to edit auto align. One more thing that I thought might be worth mentioning is that if you're putting together quite a lot of images, like what we're going to do, and if you want to do this and see how Photoshop does it, then you want to do it one by one.
Okay.
You don't just want to like grab 5 layers and then see what happens. I think especially when there's a subject involved, because the Photoshop will really just take it off to a different direction. So yeah, going one by one does help.
Okay, perfect. And I see just someone said honor line is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a box of those, it's like a bag of those, you know those jellies in Harry Potter where you don't know which one you're going to get?
Yeah.
I think it's that.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
So there's another way to bring the images together as well. And that is over here under scripts. So you can go ahead to File, Scripts, go to, File, Automate, and go to Photomerge. So then that's another way to bring it together. So you can, again, pick your auto, perspective, etc. And then here is where you would browse your files.
Okay.
So you'd select your files that you want to join. So those two, for example, open them up. And then I guess just hit OK and see what happens. And then it'll open up a new document with them together. So yeah, that's another thing as well. Again, I'm not really a big fan of allowing Photoshop to do this for me because I feel like I just lose complete control over how the subject looks in the scene. Yeah. Whereas I do feel like if you're somebody who does like landscapes, then this could be something that could be of interest to you if you're putting together different frames. So I'm just running it to like show you. Yeah.
To show the demonstrate. Difference between. Somebody asked, do you balance these images before you attempt to stitch them together, or are these just raw files from the shoot?
That's a really great question. So ideally, yes, you want to balance them before you put them together. So when I am in, Adobe Raw or in Capture One, I will literally go through and just make sure they sort of look similar, like the white balance looks similar, etc. Yeah, because basically it is such a headache later to tweak them, but I left them for us to tweak so that we could have so
we can see that
we can see how to do it the long way around. But at least if you have that knowledge, it applies to everything.
Okay, perfect. So this is the version where it just Photoshop did it for you.
Yeah, so this is Photomerge, and I think it did a pretty good job.
It actually really did.
Yeah, I'm like shook as well. Dara, you look at me.
I said, that was oddly it was done very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So actually, the thing that I would struggle with now is like over here, they're together.
Okay.
See?
So they're not on separate layers. They're now merged into one.
No.
Okay.
See, so that would not work.
No.
Again, there's gonna be how you gonna do this? You can't layer mask that. That's destructive.
No, that's destructive. Nope. Nothing you can do there.
No. Okay. We're having such a laugh on this already. This is great.
If there's one thing you're gonna do with me, girls, laugh. So
Yeah. Okay, so that was like a little introduction into how Photoshop sort of can assist you when it comes to merging images to get it together. We're now going to move on to our main image, which is this one. Now I'm going to close all of these because do we know if we want to be surprised or not? What do people say?
I think we want it to be surprised.
Okay, in that case, let me quickly close these.
So if you blinked, you might have missed it.
All right. So this is our main image over here. And I'm going to go ahead and call this main. And what I'm going to do is actually save us all some trouble and just say dupe. There we go. Oh. So these are duplicated and we're going to just keep that closed. Now, I'm going to just show you guys by disabling this layer mask what this looks like. I'm going to close this and we're going to add a solid color at the back. Done. Okay. Right. So this is our main image, which is this image over here, I believe.
So all you did was just expand the background to start off with.
Yeah, basically. Okay. Yeah, basically. Okay. Let's just close that.
And then there's a question in here that I want to make sure I don't miss. Jolo asks, are there times where you do manipulate your photo? Oh, you do manipulations on your photos, such as adding wings, additional accessories, makeup, etc.?
Yeah. So not so much wings, because for a lot of like the prop things, I like to have, for me, I like to have it there. So I struggle to like add wings and etc. because unless that was really the vibe that I was feeling on the shoot. But oftentimes I like to have the props physically there and then I can manipulate and play with them
later on.
So yeah. So the only thing I would say that I add is maybe makeup, because oftentimes I don't have a makeup artist, so I'm doing it myself. And then sometimes if the girl has sensitive skin, then we clean it up in Photoshop so that she doesn't have to have stuff on her face for the photo, especially if I know I can do it in post-production.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
There's not much else that I do add, but in this particular image, we're going to add a couple of things like textures, and we're going to just add body parts as we expand the frame.
All right, I'm excited for that. I like how suddenly you were like, oh, we're just gonna, add body parts. It's no big deal. Just get a whole new person. No part.
We're gonna figure it out together, genuinely. So when it comes to making a select, this is where I really struggle, because it's the hardest part, I think, of the whole process, because the select you pick is really going to be the thing that like makes or breaks the photo, in my opinion. It's what connects with you as the creator, but also connects with the audience who's viewing it, and then also it gives the audience an insight into what you, the creator, are trying to express.
Got it.
Yeah, so there's like so many layers into making a select, and then how do you know what's a good select? So when I first started working on this image, I picked this select only because I thought that she looked really, peaceful, calm. It was a very I knew that I was going to expand the scene, and I wanted her to sort of be like asleep, dreaming in it. I really didn't want it to be posy, because the posing takes away from the dreaminess that I want to express in the image. So there's a few other selects from this set where her hand is her fingers are a little bit too pointed, and again, that gives it away. Where her toes are a bit too maybe pointy, again, it gives it away. So you just want to have a very relaxed. Well, it depends what you're going for, but in my case over here, I was looking for a very relaxed select.
Yeah, very relaxed, very natural.
Yeah.
Cozy.
But then as I was editing it, I wasn't sure about the face, because I felt like it was a bit too relaxed. Because it's also
relaxed, not too relaxed. A fine line between
so
the
you
two.
can see the challenge that this
Mhm.
poses when it comes to picking a picture from the images that you take.
Mhm.
And especially if you're like me and you're like moving while you're shooting, and some of them are like blurry. It's hard.
Yeah.
To give you some insight into this photo, it was a 50 millimeter, as we know.
Mhm.
It was I set it on f2,
Okay.
but if I was to shoot it again, I think I would have set it to like 2.5, 2.6.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, f2 is way too shallow, and that we're gonna see some of that kind of come through.
Okay.
But again, if you're only sharing this on social media,
It's fine.
no one who's
No one's
zooming
gonna.
in.
Who's really like?
What can they even see when they zoom in? It's fine. Yeah. It was shot at 1 to 200 shutter speed, and then the ISO was at 250.
Okay.
We were shooting in the sunset, so the sun, as you can see, the light is on like the left side of her, falling across her face, and I was sort of like encouraging her to tilt her face towards the light because it wasn't much of it. I needed it to sort of like wash over her. Yeah, because there were some rocks right in front, so we really had a really, really tiny window in which to capture this before that sun was like gone. And of course, I found this angle at the end of our session.
Listen, you got it though, but you got it.
Thank you. Right, so usually it's the main image that I start off with. So I open it up, have it here, and then I roughly start placing everything around her. So for example, we're gonna just start with maybe, let's see, because I think I'll just show you guys the layers so that you can get a sense of it. Okay. We'll do this one because I think it would be quite easy to do. So I'm going to call this legs. So I always start with the body first. Got the legs that I need to add from another photo. As you can see, there's a difference in tone already.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Because the light shifts as you shift depending on which angle you're shooting it from as well. So ideally you want to clean this up before.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and just apply this layer mask. Oh, hang on. Enable this layer mask. There we go. So let's do this. Delete the layer mask. All right. So I always use layer masks to erase and bring back the image. And the reason for that is because it's incredibly non-destructive. You can like make loads of mistakes and then come back and fix them. You don't have to be particularly perfect when you're doing this stage, which is what I actually recommend. I recommend not doing it perfect when you're doing the stage. You want to just throw all of your pieces around roughly, and then one by one, go into your layer mask and go through each layer and see what's happening where. So now that I've sort of like placed this where it's meant to be, if I go ahead and turn this off, you'll have a better idea. And if I bring this up, I didn't warp this. All I did was just sort of turn it. So the original image, I just like used Command T, transformed it, moved it roughly to where I wanted it to go. And when I do this, I always bring down the opacity of this layer.
Okay, so you can line it up properly.
Correct. So you can just manually bring the opacity down by over here on the layers panel, just by sliding that back and forth. I just use a shortcut, which is V on the keyboard, and then I just type in 5, 6, 7, and it just drops that opacity down. And the main things I was looking for was to see where it lined up. So I constantly just turned the image to see if it lined up with something, one element in there. And it did actually line up quite nicely over here. As you can see, the rock lines up sort of, and over here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring that opacity back up. I'll go ahead and just drop this underneath our main image because I want it below her. And then I'm going to go in here to the main image layer mask, and just with my brush Now, whenever I'm brushing, and you're going to notice this a lot, because I don't want to like keep repeating it, so I'm going to say it once. I brush with like a big fluffy brush. So I go ahead and like make sure my hardness is set to 0. My size depends on what it wants to be. Mm-hmm. And opacity is pretty much nearly always set to 100. And flow is set low.
Okay.
Yeah. So I noticed that a lot of photographers, and I did this too when I first started, I would leave flow alone.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. And I would change the
opacity. Yep.
Yeah. But what that does is, let me show you. It's quite fun actually to know, because once you know, you're like, oh,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So this is just a solid film, and we're going to go ahead here with a white brush. So now we have opacity and flow set to 100. So it all comes through. Mm-hmm. The paint just comes right through. Now, if you drop your opacity, say to like, I don't know, 5%. Okay, it's not showing. Let's make it like 30. Yeah, okay. So like here, 35%. Mm-hmm. So as you brush, no matter how long you're brushing for, you only get 35% of that color. Mm-hmm. So if you want to build on that color, you got to literally lift off and come back down and build on it. And actually this would work so much better if this was on a hard brush. There we go. There you go. All right. So now you can see that you're getting what is essentially banding. It looks like banding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, it doesn't look clean.
It's not clean. Yeah, it's not clean.
Yeah, but you're building up because you want to build up. But this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So now if you flip it over and you do 100% opacity and you drop that flow to maybe like, I don't know, 3%. 3% of that color is coming out, but you can control the build. Mm-hmm. And as you control the build, look at your edges. They're so much smoother. Yeah. So you don't even have to be at 3%. You can like drop that to 1%. And you can even drop your opacity. So now you can use both of those to really, really control how much color is coming through in your brush. So you only want 40%, but you want more control. So you change your flow.
Oh, is the way you describe that. Excuse me. The way you describe that, it's like, you might not understand the difference between the two, but just being able to see that demonstration is pretty like night and day what flow really means. Being able to control what you're showing through, control the color, and then like you said, like having the smoother edges for sure makes a complete difference between the two options there.
Yeah. So I have Pratik, my husband, to thank for this. I'm going to do a shout out to the hubby. So
shout out to him, because he gave us some education right there. Dropping gems already. We like, 30 minutes into the live, we already dropping gems. Yay. He taught us 2 things.
This changed the game for me. And I don't say that lightly. Like 100%. It changed the game. So this and curves, those 2 things. Those 2 things changed the game. So Pratik, my husband, Pratik Naik, if you don't follow him, he's a retoucher. He does classes. And actually, I went to one of his classes. That was like the first time I invested in like my Photoshop or photography journey. I'd never done anything like that before. And he explained this. And I really was like, shocked and shook. Yeah. Because this low flow, controlling the opacity means that when you're doing any sort of Photoshop, whether it's composite, where you're putting pieces together, you can control how gently one image slips into the next, and then you can hide any sort of mistakes. There's no mistakes.
There's no mistakes.
When you're photoshopping hair and you're like, how do I get like that clean hair? Like high-end retouching hair. low flow.
Wow.
When you're dodging and burning skin,
Low
flow.
flow.
Yeah, because look at the transition. It's literally all about that transition.
Yes.
Yeah. It just makes it seamless. And then that's the whole point, I think, of Photoshop, is to like make things so that you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yes.
And that's the magic of it.
Oh my goodness. That is
Yeah.
such a huge point. So let me just tell you right now, the chat is going crazy. Like, I think everybody got that aha moment. We're like, oh, low flow. Okay. And we have some questions I want to go over as well. But people are saying, thank you so much. Flow mystery solved. Gosh, I never knew that about flow and opacity. Great to know. I thank you and your husband. So thank y'all so much for sharing that piece of gem, because that was amazing. And then just some questions before we go back and kind of continue to dive deep that I want to make sure I don't miss is, somebody asked, do you also create surreal environments? So that's the first question. I think there's 3 in total. So I'll ask you that one first.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun and it's playful and you get to like try different things. So yeah, I do like to have a subject that I might shoot in a studio. For example, if it's a rainy day or like winter when it's freezing cold and we can't shoot outside, because I'm predominantly a location lover. But sometimes we'll come into the studio and then I will play with Photoshop to bring in different elements from either places that I've been to or places that I find online. And often I will just turn to like Adobe stock and find my backdrops, find my birds, find some flowers, find like whatever, and then bring those elements and stitch them together.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's question number 1. And then Shane asks, what is the advantage of using this as opposed to Lightroom Photomerge?
So I can't really tell you because I haven't used Lightroom Photomerge. So it would be not fair at all.
Well, someone did say, responding to that comment, that you can do so much more with Photoshop. Lightroom is really limiting. So I would probably opt to that answer because I can't answer that either.
Yeah, I've never used Lightroom Photomerge. I honestly can't even tell you the last time I used Lightroom properly. It was when I was doing weddings. So when I was shooting weddings, I was doing Lightroom because you can batch edit like a pro.
Yeah.
Especially if you have your preset set up. But once I switched to like more personal photography and artisan photography, I just transitioned to Photoshop.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then last question before we move on is, could you color match before masking in the other image? So I think where they're talking about when you were showing us 2 images, and you were showing us that there was a bit difference in the color of the 2 with the legs.
Yeah.
Could you color match before masking in the other image?
Okay, and also that's from Monica. So hello, Monica. That's a great question. So let's answer it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just delete these layers because we did the thing.
The gem was dropped. If you missed it, you missed
it. But now you know.
You know.
And if you know, you can always like comment and just be like low flow gang.
Yes, low flow. Listen, # low flow gang. That's it.
Everyone would be so confused, but I would know exactly where you came from. Like, yes, you watched the live. You are part of the low flow gang.
Yes, low flow gang.
Join the club. Okay, so let's do some color matching. So I actually didn't color match this particular one because I wanted to just do the mask first and see if it like slipped into it. Okay. But I'll show you as we go how we would color match. So first I'm just going to go ahead and leave my opacity at 100%. And also if you want to change, so for example right now, whenever you have V selected, so the main thing selected, and you want to change your opacity and flow, you can just hit your numbers on your keyboard, like 30, 40, etc., right? Oftentimes it would change the opacity. Like the Photoshop default is changing the opacity when you hit those numbers. So to make them hit the flow instead of the opacity, you want to have this checked.
Okay.
I don't know what this icon is called, but it's right next to the flow icon. So you just want to make sure that's selected. And so now when you hit like 3, 4, 5 on your keyboard, it changes the flow.
Got it.
Yeah. So I often just leave, and if you want to change your opacity, you want to hit shift. So shift.
And then the number.
Yeah. Shift and then the number. I'm all about keyboard shortcuts. I hate like moving across. Are you the same? Because I just
yeah, I am the same, because it's just like if I could skip a step, like
exactly. So now you can see. So this is literally at 9% flow, which is like one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna go ahead. Oh, hang on. I noticed immediately. Make sure that brush is set to soft. Yeah, you don't want to be brushing with a hard brush ever. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly, very gently brush and sort of see what's happening. Sometimes I'll just bring that up a bit to like, I don't know, something like that, just to see. And then
it does flow into each other as far as the color, like the it flows very nicely into each other.
It did. So here, now if I continue, this goes right into the leg and the whole thing is thrown off. So I'll just like zoom in and see if I can connect the two. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make the brush smaller. Now, another like little trick that I really recommend is if you are somebody who brushes with your right hand and you use your keyboard with your left hand. There's a couple of things that you're going to really need to use regularly, which is making the brush big and small, going to the stamp tool, the healing tool, and then all of your other sort of tools. Nearly all of the tools that you're going to use, like crop, transform, rotate, etc., live on this side of your keyboard. For some reason, the brush tools, the increasing and decreasing the size of the brush tools by default is on that side of the keyboard. So it's like if you're editing, your fingers keep moving here to like bring the brush size big and small, but then they keep coming back here to like move the image around or go zoom out or whatever. Like go to the stamp tool. It's again, this is like I'm lazy to go up and down the screen. Your girl is also lazy to move her fingers from one end of the keyboard to the other.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It be like that sometimes. And actually, again, the husband is to blame for this because he's also lazy. But we're gonna change that and say efficient.
Yes. Okay, we're not lazy. We are efficient. We are efficient. We don't waste our time on things that it doesn't need to be wasted on.
We don't waste our energy.
We don't waste our energy. That is a life lesson right there.
Okay.
Be efficient.
This is like the most fun I've had in a while, you guys.
I'm glad.
I hope you guys are enjoying this. Like, please let us know in the comments.
Yes, let us know. Are you enjoying this? Because I know I am. So I'm assuming you guys are, but just let us know if you're enjoying it. And then, of course, if you are watching on YouTube, make your way over to Behance because we're having fun in the chat. There are so many questions coming through. So if y'all have questions, you can ask them over here at b.net/Adobe Live and really be able to join the conversation. And so we're in a good place to keep going.
Idara, I want to ask you, is your making your brush size bigger and smaller on this side or that side?
I think it's on the left side.
Here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me show you how to change that.
Okay, how do I change that?
The keys that I'm going to use are the Q and the W.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't really, what they're currently set to, I don't think like they're that important. I don't use quick mask, so I don't need the quick mask shortcut.
Got it.
And I think the W was maybe for wand originally, I'm not sure. But again, I don't really use that all the time. What I will do is change them to two keys that I use often, which is making the brush size bigger and smaller. So to do that, you're going to go over here into Edit, scroll right down to Keyboard Shortcuts. And in Keyboard Shortcuts, you're going to have a panel over here. So it says Shortcuts 4 and a bunch of things. Now you're going to go ahead and select Tools. and then you can just scroll down to where they are. So this is where you can just change your keyboard to really, really suit your workflow. So if you're somebody that uses a bunch of these tools and at that moment, in this moment, maybe those keys are not being optimized, adjust it, change it, like make it your own. Like, yeah.
Customize it. There's so much you can do.
Exactly. So for example, the spot healing tool is one I use regularly. And so that's changed to A. And then, because it's right next to the stamp tool. So then I know I've got my stamp tool, my spot healing tool. They're right next to each other. I can flick between them very quickly. I've gone ahead and scrolling right down here to increasing and decreasing brush size. I've changed my increase to W and my decrease to Q. Yeah. So now when I edit, my hand just stays in one side of the
keyboard. I know what I'm doing after this.
Honestly, just, you know what? Once you get into the flow, once your fingers know where it is, you're like set. It's so hard now when I'm on somebody else's computer and I'm
to make your way to the other side.
I'm like, why are we so far away?
It's like, why? No, inconvenience. I need to be efficient. I need to be on one side.
I actually am like, guys, can I just change this? Like, so annoying.
So I know what I'm doing after this for sure.
Yeah. And also, like, if you're somebody who edits with your left hand and you are doing your keyboard stuff with your right hand, then yeah, move it to the side that you're more comfortable with. So like I'm showing you guys that I use this side more, but if you're somebody who opposite, so move it here. Yeah, try it, and then comment with the low flow gang and let me know.
Yes.
All right, so just like that, I'm gonna quickly, and this just gives me complete control now to like really finesse this joining. So I'm gonna drop the flow down to like 9%, and then as you can see, it's more or less managed to join quite nicely. Yeah. Obviously, as I do this, I will tweak it as I go, but the reality is I always have my flow low, and this whole process doesn't actually take me that long. I really enjoy, this is like one of my favorite parts. It's just so like zen. Yeah, you're just moving, twisting. And now I'm going to go ahead and just show you a couple of things. So for example, say this was really different to this image, like say it really didn't connect. So that's when you would go ahead and open up the adjustment panel and pick an adjustment. So for example, curves, like that's the one that I genuinely pretty much regularly use to like blend things together nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and clip that adjustment layer to the layer that needs adjusting. So for example, where's the ones with the, okay, so the legs. So the legs are here. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and clip it. Now to clip a adjustment to the layer, the adjustment has to be one above the layer that it's going to be clipped onto. 2, you want to hit Option or Alt on your keyboard. And you hold that down. And as you hold it down and move your mouse across the screen, in between the layers, you'll see this little icon with a little arrow. And it's saying, excuse me, do you want me to connect this adjustment to this layer?
Yes, I do.
And you're like, yeah. Thank you. And it's clipped. And now you can do whatever adjustment you want, and it will only affect that layer. Now, clipped adjustments are super, super fun because you can clip it to individual layers, but you can also go ahead and clip it to groups.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So you have so much control. So you have individual layers that you can control through layer masks, like what shows, what doesn't show. Then you can start using everything from this adjustment panel, and it will clip onto that layer. So you can really tweak it to suit. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and maybe drag that down a little bit. And you can see the blend happening now. The light fell away. So if I turn this off and on, you can see.
Almost it's like seamless. It's so much more consistent from the left side of the image to the right. It all flows in so much better now.
Because you can tell, can't you? Like the light is hitting her here, but her legs are low. So it's like that. And then you can just change it. So you can like bring that up a bit to whatever you want. Say you've like, you're really not. So say you've done something like this and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Drop your opacity. So again, another form of control. So if the adjustment is set and you're like not able, for some reason, you're not sure, you can quickly play with your opacity and see if that does the trick. Yeah. So it's all good.
I'm making so many, Bella girl, I don't think you understand. I'm making so many mental notes of the kind of work I want to do after this. Like, I'm so inspired.
These are just really small things, but they make such a big difference when they start building up.
Yes. So much control.
So much control. Okay, so now we're going to zoom out. So say, okay, I think there's more coming. So we'll save some of this information for the actual layers that are coming out because I'm going to need them. I'm going to go ahead and now zoom out. So when I shot this picture, I knew that I wanted her to be like in a scene. If you are, you know, as you saw on my website, and then also if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I love a top-down shot. I've loved it since the first time I shot it back in 2013, and I've loved it ever since. And then I also am somebody who loves that shot with the 50mm lens and no ladder. So I'm also a little bit nuts, if you can, you know, clearly. So yeah, it's like a drone shot, but I was doing that before I knew about drones.
Listen, actually, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Oh my goodness. That is exactly what it is. We're doing this before even drone shots were a thing. Like,
I mean,
come on.
I know.
Hashtag resourceful.
But I swear to God, if this was with a drone shot and it could capture this quality, it would just save me so much.
Exactly.
But now I have things to tell you in this Adobe Live.
Exactly. Now you have so much you can teach us. I don't have a drone, so now I know, I can work around it. I can make it work.
So I have gone ahead and, like people cook beforehand, I've gone ahead and taking this out of the oven, done something before. I'm just going to pull up all of these layers around. So we're just going to go and turn these all on. So now, as I build up around this, and over here, so you can see this here. Yeah. I did the exact same thing. There we go. So we can see that this is from another image. I'm going to go ahead and disable this layer mask. So that's from this shot. Also, her face here is so beautiful. This was almost the main shot as well. I couldn't decide.
She looks so stunning. It's just the way she's just like staring into your soul.
Yeah, so I haven't decided if I want the eyes open or eyes closed version. So viewers, if you're watching this,
eyes open or eyes closed.
Yeah, let me know, because I haven't edited the final piece yet. So I can't decide.
Oh, the eyes. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. It would be, so this is the thing with the hands. See, like here, her hands are a little bit too tight.
Too tight, yeah.
Yeah. When you're shooting, it's really difficult to nitpick at your subject because you want them to also flow.
Yes.
So there will be shots where things are not every part of the image is perfect, but that's okay because you're following the flow.
Yes. So, but I do also see what you were saying before, that sometimes when things are too posy, it takes away from other places. Now my focus is on that hand. Whereas the hand that's like kind of laying across her stomach, it's more relaxed, it's more natural.
You don't even notice it.
I don't even notice it, yeah.
You know, and you're not supposed to notice it because it's not the focal part of the image. And here her focal part is her eyes.
Yeah.
Which is what you said immediately. So I would just take your head off.
Yep.
So I really like the body here, but I would literally just take her head and put it on that shot if we go for the eyes open version. But in this case, we went with the rock. And this rock, I just, moved it, made it bigger, did the thing that I told you, which is I dropped the opacity to just sort of roughly place it where I thought it would go, which is here. I felt like it aligned in a few places. Again, it's okay if it doesn't align. And this is why I know a lot of people just throw like a bit of the image onto the scene and then they work with it. Sometimes I do it too. But sometimes I just throw the whole picture in because then I can use my layer mask to like go over like further to make it more extra, to make it more so it blends in more, because the whole point is for it to blend in.
We're getting some votes for eyes closed, by the way, so
Oh,
it's saying that way more. Someone said way more mystery with the eyes closed.
That's true.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah, there is more mystery. What's she dreaming of?
What's going on?
So I did the same thing that I showed you earlier, which is I clicked an adjustment mask, an adjustment layer, and I dropped the curve down. And all that did was just ground it. Like it grounded that layer into the scene. So as you can see, I felt like it was good enough.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to go and carry on. If by chance I'm going too fast for some people, then just comment what you just ask the question in the conversation and we'll just come back. As you can see, I'm pretty much just doing exactly the same thing, which is putting the pieces around. And then all of these pieces, the main thing that's joining them all together is this main image over here. And with my layer mask selected, like that's what that layer mask looks like. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn everything off. Okay. So that's pretty much where I got to. I got this far. And remember I told you, oh my God, I didn't really like take all the images that I needed. It's okay. I figured out that it is what it is. And we'll figure it out as we go along. And that's part of the fun. Now, I would just want to talk about why I do this in the first place. I think I explained why I like the wider shot, but the reality is it's also because it's really important to me to have control over the composition. So just as you know, all of these are off? Yeah. So just as you know that lighting, styling, model, all of those things, they tell the story of what you want your image to say. Like everything comes together to tell the story. The composition that you choose, and you should consciously choose it as a photographer, is also telling a story. So for some people, that's a square crop. For some people, they will go like the rule of 1/3. For some people, they might have more negative space and like the sub, like a little, you know, how it is. That's telling a story. So I like that control. So I'm very conscious of my composition and where the model sits exactly in the frame. So the first thing I did was to play. I stretched out the scene a little bit. I felt like there was a way that I could get more from this than I can right now. So I went ahead and opened up a new layer, and I stamped, I think it's like visible stamped them all together. So there's a shortcut for that, which is Command Option Shift E. It says 4 keys. It just stamps it all in one layer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there they are over there. I'm going to just go ahead and turn these off now. So there it is. So what this does, and it's Command Option Shift E, is that it gathers everything that's visible from below that layer and stamps it onto a new layer. We like it.
Yes, we like that. It's very simple. Everything's now put together and you have that control there.
Completely. So now I'm going to go ahead and fix this a little bit. So she's sort of not quite straight. So I'm going to use a ruler and I'm going to bring that down and just to see like where my horizontal line is. This is just like a really fun guide.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and now hit Command T and just like move her to roughly like horizontal. So whatever that looks like. So maybe like here, something like that, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah?
I like
something
that.
like
I
that.
like that.
You can even use this so you can see like her shoulders are now sort of straight as well. So we can just like tweak it a bit if we really want to get. But also some of it also relies on your eyes. So the rulers are a really great guide. So I'm going to go ahead and turn them off. And to turn them off and on, it's Command and, the two little dots.
The two little dots. Which two little dots?
I'm not sure what they're called. It is these two little dots.
Oh, the is it a colon? Is that the two dots?
I think it's above that one. Yeah. Yeah. So you just want to hit like Command and that one.
I think it's a colon, right? A
semicolon
is the dot and the comma, but a colon is the two dots, I think.
True. I'm pretty sure the guide is hiding here somewhere. Is it on the window? Somewhere. View. It's all right. I can't really see the shortcut. Damn it. Okay. But it is.
If anybody knows, drop it in the chat. If anyone wants to clarify, help us out. Just drop it in the chat. No judgment.
Thank you. All right. So she's sort of more or less how I like her to be, roughly. All right. So now I'm going to stretch it a little bit. So to do this, I'm just going to chuck these out of the way so they're out of the way. I'm going to duplicate the layer just in case I like mess up. Then I've got it. And I'm going to say this stretched out like that. Ignored these earlier. This is just sort of just to like give me a guide so that I know what I'm talking about because I did sort of prep. I've prepped a little bit for this.
Oh, and they're telling us it's colon. Okay, I thought it was colon. I was like, yeah. So the two dots is the colon. So that shortcut you said was Command Shift and colon?
No, just Command colon.
Command colon.
It just turns your guides from your rulers on and off.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they're really, really handy to have because if you're like working to a particular composition, then you can just turn them off and on.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead here to the marquee tool and dragging this marquee tool sort of like here where I'm not like touching her.
Yep.
But actually, maybe we can give her some legs. Okay.
I was gonna say you will give her a little length.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try it. So we're gonna like test something. Command T, make it bigger. Now if I just drag that side over, you can see that she's being stretched out a little bit. Now again, this is where we started. And then if I just go a little bit, because you don't want to like, I don't know, turn into something a bit too much, but a little bit's not too bad.
No, a little bit's not too bad at all.
So if I like hit enter, turn that off, and turn this off and on, we can see the difference. Yeah, her legs are a little bit longer. So I like to do this when it comes to like making, so say if my subject is standing or like running away. I have pictures where the model is running away, but like, not my model actually running away.
But yeah, she's not running away from you. But
let's move on.
Ignore that. Skip that part of the stream.
I will literally do this in Photoshop, which is select it, and then like from not the waist, but maybe like a little bit of her. Most of her leg maybe and then just pull it up and it like lengthens the dress, lengthens the legs, and it just looks a bit more statuesque.
Yeah.
And it's like such a little thing because you would never know.
You would never know.
And that's why I like it. Yeah. It's all about like learning things that you would just never know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like how you're now extending her surroundings. So that's
I am.
And around her, you're just kind of extending that out. So now
just a little
shots a little bit wider, and you get more
more frame in the scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a bit tight, this one, but we're gonna we're working with it.
And I now see what you mean when you were saying earlier that you could have used more frames, but still you're making it work to where it's still all coming together and there's enough space around her. It doesn't feel like, with expanding, it doesn't feel too tight.
No. Now, see, if you overdo it, so say, for example, let's see what that looks like. So we have like a thing.
I've overdone it before.
Yeah. Oh. See, so that is overdone. Because now you've really pulled those pixels, and that's really obvious. Like when you like over liquefy. So we don't want that. So I'm just gonna go back. Oh, there we go. And you just want to like take it a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this stretching technique is. See, here we go. I definitely overdid it on the left, so I can tell. I don't know if there's a way to go back and like push it back a bit. I don't know. We might have, because I'm doing this demonstration, I'm not really concentrating, but I think that's a little bit better.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. So here we go. Something like that, just to give you like a rough idea. All right. So now we're going to talk about the crop. I threw this on here, these guides, because I wasn't sure if I wanted, let's see. Cropped rectangle. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I wanted. So I wasn't sure if I wanted a square crop, in which case I would just go ahead and take this marquee tool and like holding shift, which gives you a square, move it around. And a square crop would be something like this. I'll just go ahead and turn these off. So it'd be something like that, which I think is beautiful. So, but not quite feeling it because she is long.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that the crop reflects
that length.
That length. Yeah. Like, this image would look fantastic as a banner, as a header, like on your Twitter profile or your Facebook page.
Yes.
On the model's Facebook page, on the designers that you collaborated, like the rest of your team, like, so you're just thinking ahead. But also you want to like honor the subject and the mood as well. So when I was younger, Instagram only did square crops.
Yes.
Like you couldn't do a rectangle. It wasn't like really showing up properly on there. So I really got into the square crop because of Instagram. And actually that influenced a lot of my earlier work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I still love a good square crop. So I'm really glad that Instagram like inspired that.
But now you get to choose. You don't have to feel restricted.
No.
To picking either or. And I do really like what you said as far as honoring the model, honoring the mood and feel.
Correct.
Because when I do see this image, I agree. It's like it's a banner. I see a billboard girl. Like I see like that, again, that rectangle that really honors the model, her length and her body, and then the surrounding around her, and not making that space too tight.
Correct. Yeah. So this is like a 16:9 if you wanted something more cinematic. That's a 5:7, which we would flip over and make bigger if we wanted that. I think a 5:7 personally, or 4:5. So if we flip that, but again, a 4:5 still feels.
Yeah, I like the other one.
Same. Yeah. Because it gave more room to breathe on the sides. So that's why that was my favorite. So yeah, I'm just using the crop function on Photoshop. And yeah, so prior to making this crop, I would save this image, make a new image, and save the crop there. Yeah. So that I haven't like, in case I want to come back to this picture.
Got it. So you don't
have to change things up. Yeah. So I try and work as like non-destructively as possible because I'm somebody who makes a lot of mistakes. I would definitely save and then move on.
Got it. That makes sense. And we have a few people that are jumping in and saying hi. So I think this is a good spot to let everyone just kind of do like a quick recap of what we've done so far and where we started and where we're going, how we led up to this point, just so they can follow along.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna like move her, I think, sort of in this frame very quickly to maybe like here, and then we'll finish this segment, this bit off. As I move her in the composition, I'm literally looking at the grids. And this is where having these guides in Photoshop makes such a difference. So I do think that if you are somebody, and especially like even if you're a pro, it really helps to know like your rule of thirds, your sort of your guide as like everything. So I like how she looks here in the middle, but then I could always like move her lower if I wanted more negative space above her and like create a scene up there. But for this particular image, I feel like I really just like her here somewhere. And I'm using the guides in the crop tool to help me decide that. Okay, so to show you guys where we started over, let's turn this off. We started sort of over here.
Yeah, we did. We did.
We really, really did. Wow. We basically just went through, pieced it together one by one. And actually, there is something I do need your help with, friends who are watching. Because I found these 2 layers and they are in the wrong folder. I was wondering where they were and I thought they were in a different document. I'm going to bring them down. And I need you guys, my low flow gang, to help me decide which one we like more. Now, I told you about how I liked her expression, but I felt like it was a bit too relaxed. We also have this expression. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's turn this off. This expression. So the difference here is that you see more of her face, you feel more connected. And then in this one, she's turned away to the light. It's not about connecting with you as a viewer as much as it is about you as a viewer sort of peeking into a different scene. So it's like sort of like there's 2 different feelings there. And then also the reason why I really liked this one, I felt like it had more of a graphic, the lines felt more graphic. And then I liked the flow of her hair, like this line from the neck to the head and then the flow of her hair. I just felt like, I don't know.
Yeah, I especially what you said about her hair.
Yeah, I couldn't decide. And the hair works like that because her head is facing away.
Yeah.
So that hair doesn't necessarily work here because she's set back on it. So, yeah, I need your help. So I went ahead. Yeah, I went ahead and layer master. So if I show you, this is what the layer looks like. And as you can see, it's mostly black. So that is literally how I do it. I would literally, say if I delete that layer mask, I would literally open up a new layer mask, hit Command-I to invert it. So I can't see it. The image is already placed roughly where I think the head is. And then using a white brush with, everything set to 100. Just brush
her face in.
Yeah. And the hair. And then this is where like the finessing happens, which is connecting the face to the body.
Yeah.
And it did take some time for this. This wasn't like as easy. So for example, here, I didn't really like this bit.
Yeah, that piece of hair.
So I turned my brush to black and just kind of like, I don't know, figured it out. Something like that is good enough for now. And then to fix that, you would just go into a new layer, hit the clone stamp tool.
And clone that, yep.
And gently, with a clone stamp, I really just like having, again, the flow low. And that is what will give you the seamless transitions in hair, fabric, everything. And just, see?
Wow.
We haven't lost any of her hair floofiness. We can even gather some bits of her hair there and just sort of make it a thing. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, sort of. We'll come back and fix that later.
No, low flow gang. I see what you mean as far as it just being so much more seamless.
Yeah. And then over here with her arms and her body, we're just going to turn this off and on, because this is how you do it. You literally just turn your layers off and on. Don't worry if they're not quite where you think they should be. Just move things around and see how it works. So in this case, I think I did something like this. Actually, I used like the neck from the previous image and then kept the body the same. So because the neck seemed to work. Yeah. And then I just like turning the brush back and forth. And to do that, so this is a back and forth that I'm talking about, this white and black. And if you're a Photoshop user, you know that the shortcut X does that. So you're just going back and forth with X and brushing, and rebrushing. wait a minute, where are we here? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. To just like figure. Hang on a minute. What's happening? Hang on a minute. Did she move? I feel like she moved.
No, she might. I think she moved.
Did she move? Did I move?
I think you moved her.
I think I did, right?
Yeah, I think you moved her.
I think I did move her.
Because the math is not mathing. I think you moved her.
Damn it. Oh no, this is so funny. Don't judge me. Okay, let me see if I can make it work though here. Let me see. Because the shoulders seem to be working here. Yeah. So. Yeah, the math is not math.
I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, but everything that I'm doing right now is literally how I did it the first time.
So it's just a lot of, again, going back and forth, making sure certain parts are realigned and flipping between your black and white mask, so that way you can see what you want to unveil and what you want to cover.
Yeah, you're right though. The math is not mathing. How did she move?
No, I feel like
no, she didn't. Somehow I made it work the first time. That's so weird.
Oh, you just spent time.
Wait, no, she moved.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
You're right. She moved.
She moved for 500. Like she moved.
She did. See? No, you win. Yeah, you win. The math was there was no way that was gonna work. So funny. Okay, girl, go back.
There we go. Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so somehow this happened where I don't know how she moved, but it is what it is. I did make it work.
You caught it. That's all that matters. You caught it and you made it work.
We did. You caught it. I was like, I'm like, I'll make this work. But yeah, that's pretty much like where I got up to in this file. And then when we go to the next file, that's where I will show you how I filled in all of these. So yeah, let's see. How long do we have left? Because then I
I think we still have quite a bit of time, a little bit over 30 minutes. So I think we still have about 30 minutes left. So we're good.
Okay, brilliant. Then I will open up working file number 2. Okay, Francisco is like, did she move or did she move?
We need answers.
She moved.
She moved.
This is a really good segue into any questions while I open up the next file.
Yes, if y'all have any questions for Bella, please drop them in the chat so that way we can ask them any questions about any of the steps that she went over. If there's something that you feel like you want her to go back and describe more, talk about more, please put the question in the chat. If you are over on YouTube and you have a question, Bella, girl.
I'm trying to hide it. Bella,
my chest.
No, I'm trying to hide it so that we wanted the surprise, right?
Oh my
It was
God,
open.
no, but it looks so stunning.
Okay, shh.
Sorry, shh. You guys didn't hear that. But if you are over on YouTube land and you want to ask any questions, please come over to behance.net/Adobe Live. That way you can ask Bella your questions. And again, if there was something you want her to go over a bit more, this is your time to ask. And actually, I have a question. So first of all, one, how long have you been shooting for? And what really kind of, I guess, what was the progression of your journey as a photographer? Because I know you mentioned the wedding photography, and then you kind of closed that chapter and you moved into more of that fine art, fashion. Just take me through that. How did you kind of come to where you are now, essentially?
So I started out with self-portraits. And it was really Flickr that really encouraged that passion, because at that time there was like a 365 challenge. I was like making the rounds. Everybody was jumping on it, like a picture a day. This was a time, I think it was before Instagram, or at least when Instagram was just like cats and food.
I know that time.
It was like cats food filters. And so I was doing architecture and I needed to learn Photoshop. And so to learn Photoshop, I was going online, and there wasn't like much of a community in the education sector for Photoshop on any of the platforms except for Flickr. Because that seemed to be like where the photographers were hanging out and like people were doing cool stuff. Like it was Flickr and DeviantArt. And I saw the 365 project on Flickr. I thought, well, this was a great way for me to up my Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
Let me take a picture of myself because there was nobody else, and play on Photoshop, which I did. And if you want to see some of those horrific,
you have to start somewhere.
Those really, really creative, those very playful chapter of my life. I still left those pictures up on Flickr because like it's just really funny to me now. But yeah, I just stayed at it. So I was just turning myself into like a cat or a flower for like a while.
Not me. I'm making a mental note. Should I search for her Flickr? Like,
I'm like, don't do it, and now everybody will do it. It was just something, but I left it up. I think the reason why I left those old pictures up is like just to give hope.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys, like, you can do it too.
Yeah, you just have to start somewhere. The hardest part is just starting. Once you start, then progress with time.
And it is literally just tenacity.
Yeah.
Like anything you ever want, you just have to be tenacious.
Absolutely.
And then it will come to you in one form or another. So
absolutely.
I was just tenacious with Photoshop. And the first time I invested in myself was when I went to my husband's class. And at that time, I was freaking out, thinking I'm doing everything wrong. Surprisingly, I learned a lot of stuff. A lot of it I'm sharing with you. Like the main things that really stuck with me are like what I'm like putting forward now into our community, because it's like mind-changing, game-changing as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like when it really affirmed to me that it's Photoshop. There's like 100 different ways, and it doesn't matter. There's no right way.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it just has to look sick.
That's it at the end of the day. As long as you get to where you need to be, it doesn't really matter how you got there. There is 101 different ways to be able to do it.
So stop overthinking.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. Like,
stop overthinking. Stop wondering if you should be more red or more blue, or like just be both. It's okay. Like there's literally no right or wrong way. Just do the thing and put it out and move on.
That's it. Do the thing. Oh my goodness. Like that's this. I know that's something that for me, my journey as well. Like I had to get to a place where I was like, just do it. Like, if you don't like it, No, it's fine. Like just start something and finish it, and then start something again and finish it. Because sometimes I would start and I would be so indecisive on so many different things that I would never finish. And you don't progress forward if you don't finish. So you have
to give yourself a deadline. Like I am like, I did not know this, but I think I'm like a super introvert. A super introvert who's an overthinker. And those two things are like, I could be in my cozy mode, not doing anything, watching anime all day and just be very happy. And put off editing stuff because I'm so scared of it not being perfect. And like sharing it with people, especially if you've now built up a community, I think it gets more, in my case, it feels more scary to like put it out. But the reality is I have to, like my mantra every day now is just like, just do the thing and put it out. Like
do the thing and put it out. That is,
it doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't. And I think everything, I don't know, I know for me, like once I got to the point of just doing the thing and putting it out there, even if it wasn't perfect, it just kind of helps me, guide me, and lead me to where I wanted to be. So someone that just said, Xavier said, finished is also greater than perfect.
Yes, done is better than perfect. Yes,
done is better than perfect, because at the end of the day, at least I can say I started something I wanted to start and I finished it. And if there's things I want to do next differently, I'll take that into my next project. But at least I started and finished it, instead of being because I'm an overthinker too, girl. Like I will sit there, overthink. I am indecisive.
Oh my God.
And you'll just waste so much time. And
wait till we get to the color turning segment.
Oh my goodness. But other than that, I mean, we don't have any questions that have come up so far. So I think we're in a good place to keep progressing forward.
Right.
But people are resonating with the stop overthinking and finish being better than being perfect. So, I lied. Madison came through with a question.
Oh, amazing. Dope.
So Madison asked, for the layers you added to the original shot, they were separate photos you took with the same 50 millimeter.
Correct. Yeah. It was literally that video that I shared earlier. So for anybody who missed it, I'll just share it again because it just shows how it was actually captured, which is just this. So I just stood there and I just shot around her. There was no time to change any lenses. And I tried to, as you can see, the camera is moving up and down. Clearly there's no tripod.
And so it's just, you went 1, 2, 3, 4, just kind of just made your way around.
And now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, damn it, I didn't even notice that I'd stepped down. Like I started out on my toes. And then I stepped down.
Yeah. Okay.
So no wonder some of those pictures were bigger than like her feet were bigger than others.
And it's so crazy what that little adjustment in your body did.
Yeah. So I didn't notice until just now. But the photos, I was like, I'm making some of these bigger and smaller. Like, I wonder why.
There you go. There's your answer.
Yeah. Ideally, if you're shooting something like this, if you're shooting in an ideal situation, you want to be using a tripod.
Yeah.
So that it's easy, so that everything is sort of level, and it's so much easier for not just you, but that's when you can use the auto align in Photoshop, and it does actually a pretty good job then.
Yeah.
This was more challenging for it because I'm moving
it's just based off of your hand. It's not as steady and as consistent. Yeah.
Correct. I was in a hurry and I wasn't focusing on consistency. I was just like,
the skills, it still came to life. That's so crazy to me. I'm like,
but you learn. So you learn a lot.
Yeah.
So this is the other face. So for this shot, that was like when we zoom in, sort of, this was the first face and this is the second face. So yeah, guys, let me know which one. Guys and girls, let me know which one.
Yes. Let us know which one that you guys and girls think that's better. Which one you resonate more with, I think for sure. So then for the rest of the photo, are you just, because I think you've picked your,
okay, so now I'm going to show you a couple of things that are what I did and what helped me. So for example, let me see.
Oh, and someone asked if you can, I know you said it before, but someone had asked if you could share the location.
Yeah, so the location for this particular photo was in Namibia. So we were like literally just outside the Dead Tree Valley. Yeah, so we were like down the road from it. So we were like deep in the heart of the desert there. And it was very beautiful.
Oh, it really was. And then one more question. Are there any resources you would recommend to aid a beginner in learning Photoshop?
Yes, I would highly recommend my husband's class. Only because I don't have one of my own, and he's a far better teacher than I am in Photoshop and all things related to Photoshop. His name is Pratik Naik, and you can find his course at the retouchingseries.com. Yeah, honestly, if anybody wants to learn anything about Photoshop, like
that's where to go.
Yeah, and I should get an affiliate code for that. Because I'm not getting paid.
He needs to cut your
It's genuinely that good.
Yep.
Genuinely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So Mike said it looks like Camelback Mountain. So and here in Arizona, there's a location called Camelback Mountain. And now I'm inspired. Like, do I need to go to the mountain and look for a nice spot and try?
Yes, you do.
See what I can piece together. Because I've never, like, this concept of just piecing all of these different images and bringing something to life is so mind-blowing to me. I'm like, oh, this would be a fun project to try.
Absolutely. You should totally go.
Okay.
Totally.
I'll let you know if I do.
So I got this corner of this image. So this left corner is actually from another picture. So I'll go ahead and just show that to you. If I turn this off, it looks like that. Mm-hmm. All I did was get it from another photo, and I just cut it out. So I just sort of used a marquee tool, selected the part of the image, the frame that I wanted, and then dragged it over. And then embedding it into the scene, I did exactly the same thing that I shared in the previous working file, which is having a clipped adjustment with a curve layer. Mm-hmm. So it was like this initially, and as you can see, this is it's sort of okay because it sort of like shows the land is like moving around, dilating, moving, like the light is playing across it. Mm-hmm. But the reason why this is not okay is because your attention is going to that part of the image.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to corners, I just tend to just light them a bit darker than the main image, because when the person is looking at your photo, they immediately, and anybody who ever looks at a picture, your eyes naturally go to the lightest part of that image.
Yes.
So in this case, I want to make the lightest part of the image my subject.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this curves down and turning this off and on to just set it into that scene a bit more seamlessly. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much it for that. For the next thing that I did, and this is a bit of a tricky one, I'm going to do this before I do anything else. And this is the clean layer. Now, with this clean layer, I want to go ahead and show you what I want to clean, which is essentially these footsteps.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on a second. There's also some lines here. So there's a line here that I missed, and that happens too. Mm-hmm. So this would be targeted in the clean layer. If, for example, like I am here in a new file, and I don't want to go into another file to clean it, bring it over. So clean layer is essentially what I do on all of my images to sort out the environment. So, for example, if my subject is in a city, then things like the trash bin, the people, anything that's distracting in that photo. So in this case, looking at this photo, it would be the slipper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would be the footsteps, which again, I didn't realize how prominent they were because I was so fixated on my subject, as it does happen. And also because we were running out of time. But if I had a little bit more time, and if I'd noticed that, we would have sorted that out prior to Photoshop. Yeah. Like ideally, what you can fix before Photoshop,
yes, I agree.
Because it it's just a headache later in post.
Save so much of your time.
Yeah, and it takes like 2 seconds in real life, 15 minutes in Photoshop. It's so annoying.
Which one? We're being efficient here, remember?
I was not in this case.
But at least you know, okay, there's still something that you can do to fix that.
Correct. Now, I looked through all of my files to see if I had other images where there were no footsteps. So that was step one. I did not. Because so it is what it is. It turned out that is actually how we got up to this space we walked this so you can see our steps.
Yep.
And then I walked up here.
And then you went to the rock, yep.
Oh my God. And I should have given if we'd had like a brush or something, or just thrown more sand across it. But anyway. Now, in this case, if you do know a high-end retoucher, this is when you're getting But we're going to fix this. So I'm going to go to my clone stamp tool, and I'm literally going to show you how I clean. As you can see, I have a new layer. Now, this is a blank layer. Now, I've seen people duplicate the layer or do like a stamp like this, and then stamp on top of that or heal on top of that. You don't need to do that. Or brush on top of that. Again, you don't need to do that. This makes your file bigger, which we don't want. We want to keep our files as small as possible. And B, it's destructive. Yeah. So going back and forth to fix it is it's so difficult. It's annoying and it's absolutely unnecessary. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete it. You need a blank layer, and then you're going to label that layer, whatever you do. I'm going to call it clean. In this blank layer, you want to have your clone stamp tool selected. And now I'm going to show you a couple of things. My clone stamp sample is set to current and below. Now, if it was set to current layer, when I source from that layer, I'm sourcing nothing. Yeah. It's a blank layer. There's nothing to source. If I select all layers, I'm sourcing from things above it too, as well as things below that layer. Again, you don't want that. Yeah. You often really only want the current and below. Yep. So once you set it once, it's set. You're welcome. I got into a bit of a flow there. My opacity is set to 100 and my flow is set low. Now, another thing that I really do sort of encourage people to check out is going over here into window and going into clone source, because this is really fun. Now, when you're in clone source, you can go ahead and show the overlay or not show the overlay if that's what you don't want to see. So for example, if I go ahead and make this bigger and I say I select from here, now to select, you want to hold down the Alt or Option key, select it, and now you don't see the overlay. Now if I brush, hang on, if I want to source from here actually. Now if you brush, you can't see the overlay, you can make it work. But if you're somebody like me who likes to see what they're actually sourcing from and how that looks on the bit that you're going to put it on, click on Source Overlay, and that's where that's hiding. So now if you select, you can see it, like how it's going to look. Now this is particularly effective when it comes to fabrics and hair. Because then you can line up the fabric perfectly. Yeah. You can line up the hair perfectly. So that's when I really like to do that. So that was like the main thing. Other than that, I guess these are all just the default settings. So clipped 100, 100, we're all good. Another thing that is really useful here is this rotate option. So you can actually set the rotation of that sample that you're going to be putting down. So for me to give you an example, say over here, for example, we want to get rid of this, let's make this smaller, this branch on her skirt. It's not meant to be there. So we're going to use this as an example. So we want to continue this line, but we want to continue it up here. But there's two ways of doing it. Obviously, the easy way is having a new blank layer. You select, let's just make this 0. You select, you brush like roughly. Then you use the tool to sort of manipulate it into place. You can do it. It's not impossible. You can transform it, etc. Another way is if you change this. So if I have it like on 5, it means that when I'm sourcing this, the angle is like more to the right. So say, for example, if I have that on like 35, we can really see it. It's like that.
Yeah, okay.
But I wanted to go the other way. So I'm going to go minus like, I don't know, 7. Just to like get it roughly like that. See?
Okay.
There.
I didn't even know that you could do that.
Like minus 5 even. Yeah. It's just like, it's just easy. And then you can tweak it from there. Like it's okay. It's tweakable now. So you just select source, and then you just brush lightly. Again, when you're doing this, you don't have to get it perfect in one go. You can literally take that, move it around, make it bigger if you want. You can actually like change the by hitting the control tool or like right clicking. You can go to here, free transform, warp, and this will just give you even more options. So yeah, I think if I was to do this myself, I would probably source from up here because there's just more there. So I'll just like go over here. Just lightly brush. See, it's sort of like a bit better. And then coming down here, just lightly. And then maybe even this one like that. Something like this. I don't know. Or maybe from up here. Like that. But again, if this is not working out, like really not working out, in terms of the color especially, that's when you know you need to have a clipped adjustment tool. So say I go from here, I just brush it. So just something, I don't know. And say it's looking a bit too bright, I can just go here, find my curves, bring that down. Clip it.
Oh, clip it. There we go.
There we go. Something like that. And then again, if you really like messed up, you can just do it again, or open up a layer mask and start fiddling with it, because it's okay if it's fiddly. These things are fiddly for even the professionals. So we can make it work. You just have to practice that tenacity. That's it. Yeah. So roughly that's how I would fix that. But the reason why I even did this is because the main point of this segment was to actually show you the clone source stuff. It's really fun.
That is really fun, especially I didn't know, because usually if I have to clone something and I want to readjust like the side, I'll just transform it. But I did not know that you could use clone source to re-angle your brush and re-angle what you're picking up from. And so that is really, really helpful for me.
It's really great because it saves you that transform step. Yeah, later.
And then you can always see it all.
Yeah, and you can already see it. So then you already know if it's going to work or not. And then you can save yourself some time. Exactly. Yeah. So that was what I did there. I'm going to go ahead and just close that because that was like a fun little segue. That wasn't actually what we were meant to do. But I feel like that's the theme of today's live. We're going to bounce. Something that I used to do, I don't do it anymore, but I did this before just because it was so much easier for me to stay focused and make a game out of it. Because sometimes there's parts of Photoshop that you just have to make a game out of. Yeah. So this is my cleaning guide. Also, I think this is a fun exercise just for me to show you how what I'm seeing. Yeah, so for example, when I'm cleaning an image, how do you know what to clean? So how do you know what's distracting you? for first and foremost, this line,
Mhm.
0, 0, that line there. I don't know if I zoom in, you can see it there. There's a line
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This line here, I don't know, who are you? This one here, maybe this one. Usually anything that's around the head.
Yes.
So there was a bunch of stuff around the head, and I already did that earlier. But yeah, usually anything around the head. So there's sticks around the head, get rid of it. If there's branches, leaves, anything that's like distracting from like the subject, get rid of it. Like that one there, I'd probably get rid of. Anything that just sort of catches my eye that I feel oftentimes is because it's lighter than where the other part of the image. So if I still want it, I could just reduce, I could do a curves layer and go ahead and just like bring the tonality of that down so that it doesn't like stand out too much. But the reality is it's pretty much anything that just stands out. So all of this, that, and these things need to go. Those
the shoe, the slipper.
The non-magical item needs to leave. My computer's frozen for a minute, so let's just wait that out. Did it freeze? I don't know, we'll figure it.
No, I can see
maybe not. Yeah. That, and that's pretty much it. Usually, so the branch was on definitely one to go. On her. Any sort of like ones like these big ones, they can go. It depends like how like if I'm gonna share like a zoomed in version of this. So on Insta, what I do is I share like the full and then the zoomed in versions because so much work goes in. It's like I want people to see. Yeah. And then obviously the hair. Yeah. Like anything that just like cuts the face. This is fine. It actually sort of works nicely, I think. If not, we get rid of it. Stuff like that. Ooh, that.
Probably pin. Yep.
I think there's another pin here, maybe. See, there's like a gap there. I think this gap.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because it's distracting.
Yeah.
I haven't decided how I feel about this piece of hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you blending? Are you not? Because there's a line here. You see, there's this line. This is sort of so.
Oh, I'm team take it out.
Yeah. See, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two need to go.
I love this concept of having a cleaning guide where you're really taking time of just evaluating your image and just. Because sometimes I'll just take my clone stamp tool and just be, well, I'm just going at it. But then you miss things. So if you, this is really good opportunity to examine your image. And we are actually getting close to about 5 minutes left of our time. I just looked at the time.
Those definitely need to go.
But I like that you're picking up all of that.
So what it also does is that if you are somebody who, like me, really struggles to keep your butt in a seat as you edit, and because I have ADHD and I just to sit in one place, it's very challenging for me. So I work really well when I set like a 15-minute timer. So having something like this where I've already done the work, this bit's fun. Like this doesn't really work because you're just going around like saying nope. Yeah. All of this. So this takes 2 seconds, and then you can like go have a break, come back, and you've set a 15-minute timer.
Yeah.
And then the goal is to get it done within 15 minutes. Yeah. And that's when you get creative. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I can pick this from this. I can pick. It's faster if I get it from a different photo. And I can like make my brush bigger and it gives this effect. Yeah. And then you're done. And then you move on.
I'm definitely, there's so much I keep saying, I'm going to add that to my workflow, but this is I really like this because like you said, you examine it, you pick your points, you go and take a break, and now you come back and you're zoned in and you know what you have to focus on.
Yeah. Because it's these things that the whole point of the whole exercise anyway is to create a cohesive image, and is to create something that is consciously put together. So there's a lot of elements that are outside of your control, but then there's things like this that's in your control. So that's what I'm drawn to.
Wow, Bella. So we have come a long way with this image. We are about to get to the point of wrapping up. So what do you think we're going to be going over tomorrow?
So tomorrow we're just going to probably take it the rest of the way. And I'm probably going to go a bit faster than I did today. But then I feel like I didn't want to go too fast.
Yeah. I think you set the foundation today. I think that's what I really love about this session, is that there was a lot of education. Like, I learned a lot that I think will be able to be a great reference and foundation for tomorrow's lesson. So I'm really, really excited for that. So thank you so much for just taking your time and the patience that you have, that you had to like show us everything. You didn't just you showed us, you explained, you gave us the low flow gang. We've learned so much throughout this entire session. So really, honestly, thank you so much for that. And if y'all are in the chat, I think somebody asked, what time is the workshop going to and when did it start? So we actually started at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be doing the same thing tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific for part 2 of photo editing with Bella. So you want to make sure that you also stick around for this week's creative encore of the Illustrator Creative Challenges with Julia Vaca. And then following the creative challenge, you're going to join Kenzie Green for a graphic design live stream. So that way you can also learn how to start your brand from scratch. So those are some exciting things that are coming up next. But Bella, I hope you had fun today, because I know I did.
I had so much fun. I actually didn't realize how much I knew.
Like, I had so much fun. And you said you were nervous, but like you were like a natural.
Oh my God. Like, I actually don't feel nervous right now. So it's because you're so easy to chat with. Like, you're like best wing woman host.
Come on.
Thank you. Like,
I got you anytime, girl.
Give a clap emojis for Dara. She's doing an amazing job as a host.
Yay. And if y'all have fun, of course, we will catch you guys tomorrow. But yes, thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Join in tomorrow for more tips.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.